It's where you go to bike, hike, and stroll miles of pathways over more than 7,000 acres of parkland. A place to go explore rivers and fish their bountiful waters. Natural places to go marvel at magnificent wildlife while you play outdoors and go wander charming communities. Find all this and more at Destination Downriver. Give it a go.
Today's podcast is presented by MarketInsights.us with the Vodcast on YouTube produced by the City of Taylor's Media Center. Thank you for the generous support of our community sponsor. When your destination is beyond downriver, let Martinson Family of Funeral Homes help you and your family. With locations in Trenton, Allen Park, Mabee, Rockwood, and Monroe, their staff is available 24/7 at 734-671-5400. For more information, visit martinson.com.
Thank you to our team sponsor, Allegra, Marketing, Print, and Design. Let Allegra assist you with your print, mail, design, and signs. Located in Wyandotte, Michigan, or call 734-284-5330.
Welcome to the July Destination Downriver. I'm your host, Karl Ziomek. Today's topic, food, namely the great places that are among many interesting family-owned eateries that populate the downriver communities. Local independent restaurants serve as a place for friends and family to gather over delicious meals in good times and bad. Family-owned restaurants uphold time-honored traditions and recipes for multiple generations. We have come to rely on these places for not only great food, but as central gathering spots. The laid-back eateries that dot every neighborhood throughout the region do the unsung work of knitting together their community's social fabric, one meal or cup of coffee at a time. You usually know them by heart because they're the places where you'll find your weekend breakfast, tasty lunches, or hearty dinners. Only certain places fit the mold because your parents often took you there as a kid. By the end of 2020, COVID-19 had led to approximately 110,000 permanent restaurant closures in the U.S. That's 17% of all restaurants in the country. Not many retail categories were hit quite as hard as these independently owned restaurants. Those who survived emerged strong thanks to the support of their local customers. The places we'll talk about today have succeeded precisely because they focus squarely on serving their own community of regulars. They're the real-life, food-focused version of the bar and Cheers. Backed by popular demand and here to help us navigate today's discussion are our friends from the Dash and Diners Downriver. Hold on to your seats because we'll be right back in a minute with Al Luckwald, Chris Allen, and Rich Tank. Hey, we're back, and this is our panel discussion with our boys from the Dash and Diners. And from left to right, we have Rich Tank, who is a pledge member. We'll get into that in detail shortly. Then we have Chris Allen. How you doing, Chris?
Great, fantastic.
Great. And then we have Al Luckwald. And on the far end, we have Rich Williams, who is part of our group behind the scenes for Destination Downriver. Rich, why don't you explain how you worked your way on here?
Everybody else bailed out on me today.
Exactly. And you also brought
Pie.
Bingo. He brought food, and that's what we're going to be talking about here.
Fought my way on
with
the
our
show.
With our boys from the group. And why don't we start, I wanted to start by kind of reiterating your motto that got you started here, and that's making the best out of troubling times with our table, chairs, appetites, and humor. Al, why don't we start with you? You're a founding member, and you're responsible for scheduling and coordinating these outings at these various restaurants. Chris, also a founding member, is basically the marketing arm of this group. And are you kind of the unofficial spokesperson?
Well, that could be said.
That could be said, yeah, because according to Rich, you're the guy who does most of the talking all of the time.
Dirty work, but somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And then we have Rich Tank, who is a pledge. Yes. And Rich is a pledge, and you get the different shirt here. Who did your shirt?
Al.
Al did. He's
very
responsible
stylish.
for this monstrosity. And you get to wear that for how much longer?
Probably another 6 months or so of abuse.
Until the snow stops falling.
No.
What type of abuse do you guys give him?
Well, we make them sit at a baby table.
They do.
And
And you have
all
to
the
wear
time?
that shirt.
And the
Oh,
problem with
my
the baby
goodness.
table is he brought a
My own.
king-size chair, so it makes him
Like
look
down
like,
below his knees.
basically looks like a dinosaur trying to eat in an airplane.
I hear you. Okay, well, we're going to talk food, and I know everybody's going to enjoy this. And Rich, one of the reasons why you're here is when we're going to begin with you. Conversation that we had. We're going to be flashing a list here of restaurants that the Dine and Dashers have picked out downriver. Okay, of the 43 that they've done. And Rich, you had noticed that Kate's Kitchen was not on the list, okay? And Kate's located on West Huron Drive in Flat Rock, has to be on any Best of Downriver list, and why is that, Rich?
Well, a couple of reasons. One is we covered it on one of the episodes of Under the Radar this spring, and I was very impressed with it because it got me thinking about these iconic family-owned eateries that are in the small towns and how much of a cornerstone they are for a lot of the communities in the area, and they really are. And during COVID, I think a lot of them were remained open and struggled to remain open, but did a lot of creative things to stay in business. And Kate's is one of those. It's been around since 1979. Like a lot of these other places, it's all handmade, homemade food, and people keep coming back because it's not just handmade; it's well-made food. And so I just thought, it deserves to be on there, even though they hadn't been there yet. But I know you said you went this past weekend, right?
Yes, I did.
Now, part of the reason why they haven't been there, in their defense, is because you literally can't park there anywhere. It's very difficult to park, and I know you guys are usually out in the lot with your own table doing your thing. Pretty difficult to do that. What would you have to do? Go across the street or something?
We'd have to be in the middle of Huron River Drive. I guess it'd be the true drive-through.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? Let's go through some of these restaurants. Why don't we start with Piper's in Brownstown? Who wants to start on Piper's? What's so good about Piper's?
They're the epitome of like grandma's kitchen comfort food. One of their biggest things is their pot pie that they do, and then they have mile high chocolate cake and carrot cake. But it's just it's not your, I don't know, cookie cutter type of restaurant. There's a lot of like your home cooking kind of meals on the menu.
Okay, alrighty. Chris, you agree?
Yeah, it's I make mention all the time that they got a cake there that's so big you need a zip code on it.
But you can handle that zip code.
Oh,
Without doubt.
all day long.
I hear you. Rich, you been there?
A lot.
A lot.
Almost every Sunday after church.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, and what's your favorite dish out of there?
For breakfast, they're potato pancakes.
Oh.
They're excellent. They're homemade, and they use Dearborn ham. So again, excellent. Then there's the chocolate cake.
And you do that all at breakfast.
Yes.
Alrighty, and you're not eating until when then?
Until they bring them his lunch.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, that's probably true.
He
You
just
guys
keeps
are
the seat
terrible.
warm the whole time.
Already. What about Mom's Restaurant in Trenton? That's another one that you want to start with that one?
He wasn't with us when we did
Oh, okay, so we skip him then.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
So he
Chris?
was kind of outside the
don't you start
group
with it?
then. But we did Mom's twice. We actually did it once, and they were so endearing and so fun. And we did a toy drive that year, and we did the toy drive at Mom's, and they allowed us to go out into the parking lot. And the thing that was kind of fun about there is they also have a bar. So it's not every day that you have breakfast and you decide, well, it's -4 degrees. Why don't we get a shot too? But it was definitely a perk, I could say. But the funny part about there is when you go in there, it's almost like you're sitting at home or at family's house eating a meal. It was so interesting, the fact that once we got done, we actually took the dishes back into the building and put them in the sink. So we were actually, they allowed us to come through the back door. And I got to tell you, I don't drink coffee. The shots were nice, but they were refilling the coffee so quick that it didn't have a chance to get cold. So it was just a great feeling.
What about you, Al? What do you like? What do you like at Mom's the best?
They were just so accommodating, and it was one of the first ones that kind of got it. They understood what we were doing and what potential there was for it, because they were the first ones to come out with our food on plates. And they were the first ones to come out and refill our coffees with the carafes and keep it coming, because they paid attention to what we were doing out there. So I mean, that's what really changed it from the beginning to when we got there. It was kind of a game changer.
You know, Al, when it comes to your MO doing these, okay, can you walk us through from the beginning? Say you want to go to this restaurant, how do you start, and take us through?
Well, we, as a group at each gathering, we'll talk amongst ourselves and say, hey, where do we want to go next? Where, you know, what other places have you seen around town? Because we have guys from kind of all over the place now. And then we discuss it there. We also get a lot of input on our Facebook page from people just out in the community to say, you got to try this place, or hey, I just opened a restaurant, you got to come down and check it out. You know, they reach out to us that way. So we narrow it down. I keep kind of a running list of potential places, and then we decide on one that we want to do next. We kind of align all of our schedules, and then I place a call to the owner just to make sure they're fine with it. We've had a couple that don't want no part of us.
And now you're not going in the restaurant usually.
We only go in to order.
Okay. And then you're set up with your own table outside.
And the easy up tent and a banner, and
okay.
We try to get as close to the road as we can to create as much visual to the drivers going by. Okay. That way, maybe attract more attention to a restaurant they never noticed was there before.
And you guys are eaters versus food critics.
Oh
Exactly.
Yeah, we're not critics.
Okay.
I think there's the what you just said goes back to what one of the driving things that got you into this and kept you going and made it expand was you're doing well but while eating well. I mean, you're taking care of a lot of these small businesses,
Right.
And you started doing it during the pandemic when people weren't going in, and I think that's really a noble effort. And the result of that was you did get a lot of attention for all those restaurants you've been to so far, and you've continued to do that because it has done well, and you continue to do good things like the toy drive and everything else as part of this. So you're developing a persona, which is a pretty good one downriver. People like when you come in because you attract business, and there's some good side benefits from it as well.
And the benefit too that we express to everybody that we talk to on this is that, you know, a lot of people think that we're coming in, we're going to ask for free meals or discounts, and we don't. What we do is just the opposite. We actually pay for our meal, and then most of the time we tip the same amount that the meal was. So if it's a $20 meal, we tip $20. You know, the ones that can afford to do it, we do that. And then with that being said, we don't demand any extra service or any special service. It's all about them being who they are. If we were to go inside the restaurant, the dynamic would be completely different, because then you're getting what everybody gets. We wanted to do it to where we did it about the food. So if we're out in the parking lot, the food, you know, you can't hide a lot of things that way. The food, when it comes out and we get it in takeout containers, some of them bring out regular plates. The food is really what you're there for then. And then what they do above that makes it more fun.
We don't judge them on what they choose to do. When I call the owners ahead of time, I say whatever you're able to do is up to you. We understand we might be coming in at a busy time for you, so if all you can do is give us takeout, we'll take takeout and go sit outside and do it.
You know, one question though, it's interesting because we all sat outside during the pandemic. You learn how to eat rather fast when it's really cold, right? Cause
you learn what not to order too.
Spaghetti is not really a good cold weather dish.
Eggs that are sunny side up, not so much.
How many, when your whole group is in attendance, how many guys?
7.
7, okay, alrighty. Let's continue on with our restaurant reviews here. 6 Stars in Southgate.
That's where it all began.
Okay.
And we'll always have that fond memory of it started as a joke, like everything does with us. It started as a joke. We used to go Black Friday shopping and we go to breakfast afterwards. Well, when everything closed down, we just started talking about it, and we said, well, why don't we just eat in the parking lot? And at that time, we didn't have a tent. We didn't have, we just sat in the parking lot with the table, and they took a bunch of pictures and stuff, and they went on, and it went on to going all over the internet. And once that happened, it just kind of drove us to see what we could do with it. Make it to where we could service the community by doing the same thing. But it went crazy, and that's where it all started. So
How many followers you guys have now?
it's a little over 2,100.
Yeah.
Rich, what do we like most? Excuse me. What do we like most about Six Stars when it comes to food?
Food.
Just in general, any food. He's a typical pledge.
Yes.
The way he responds.
Yeah. Give me that shirt.
I just I've had breakfast there a few times, and it's really good. Omelets. I like country omelets, so that's where I stick, and they have good biscuits too. They come out fluffy.
Way back
Don't
when.
make a comment about that.
Way back when, in a different life, Six Stars got its name from a contest that the News Herald ran
Really?
back when the News Herald was located next to Eureka Bedrooms on 4th Street. And I don't think Eureka Bedrooms is there anymore. And I know the News Herald isn't there after it's been moved several times. But I was an editor there at the News Herald, and we all went to lunch at that restaurant. And for the life of me, I don't remember what its previous name was. But once it got the 6-star ranking and won the contest, it then took the title and made it the 6-star restaurant, which was kind of interesting.
I did not.
Ate a lot of chili at the 6-star restaurant, that's for sure. What about Michael's on the River in Flat Rock? Who wants to start with that?
Michael's, we've been back. There's not a lot of restaurants that we go back to more than once. Now what happens is there's sometimes where we'll go to an event and we leave there and go to Michael's just to hang out afterwards. They're just, it's, again, a lot of what strikes us is not just the food, but the atmosphere. And that the atmosphere there's amazing. I mean, we actually set our tent up in their parking lot, and they offered to bring out beer when we were eating at another establishment. So, I mean, they have a great way of making you feel like $1 million. You walk in there and you're family. And it's just a lot of fun. And the fish dinners there,
Well, it's on the river. It better be.
You can't go wrong. I don't know if they're catching them themselves or what, but they're amazing fish dinners.
And all you care about is food, right?
The shrimp
gotta change
and
his shirt.
steak is really good too.
Really, to die for.
Yeah, I love it.
Fantastic, fantastic. Nice ambiance at Michael's too, correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And they have a loyal following of regulars. You'll see a lot of the same people when you go in there.
Great
I
to
was just
sit
going to say, that's
outside
another
there, too.
place that has been such a cornerstone for their community.
Yes.
And been around a long time.
What about TV Diner in Trenton?
TV Diner has, by far, one of the most vast breakfast menus I've ever seen in my life. I mean, you know, a lot of times you go to the restaurants and you'll see a country omelet, a Western omelet, the same thing over and over and over again. TV Diner just, I mean, they go off the rails with trying to make, something for everyone. When we went, I had never had, and I keep messing up, I don't remember if it was it's been a while, and I'm getting older, but it was either a crab omelet or a lobster omelet. And I thought of the two together. I love both. I love crab, I love lobster, and I like eggs, turns out. But I didn't think of putting them together. And I just remember getting that, and it was freezing cold that day. And the first bite, I looked at everybody, I said, I've never had anything like this. I mean, I was excited. And then, you want to tell the...
Oh, the Cocoa Bomb. They brought out 2 mugs with when they made it, it was probably boiling hot milk. But by the time they got out to us and put the thing in it, it was already cold, too cold to even melt the Cocoa Bomb. So it just sat there and we stirred it into chunks.
So then as you ate it, the powder that didn't dissolve It was like, just made a great effect out in the parking lot.
Oh, what about River Village Family Restaurant in Rockwood?
That's right outside your house.
Yeah,
One
that's
star right outside your house?
Pretty much, I can walk there.
Okay.
Yeah, so
He
yeah.
doesn't.
I don't, but they have excellent gyros, and their Greek salad is fantastic. It's big, so plan on 2 for 1. Really good rice pudding.
Oh.
Really good. It's creamy. Oh yeah, you want me to keep going?
And they have
I know
a
a lot of
kayak
them.
rental business. Too.
Yes, they do
Oh,
that
really?
too.
They're right there in the river.
So you can eat, go down the river, and then
Go
come
down
back
the river,
again.
and
Oh,
then
my goodness.
you
And
work
then they
with
have
an
a
appetite.
pot pie that I always call it the lava hot pot pie. It comes out, I mean, it's unbelievably hot, but oh my gosh, I mean, I've been known to consume some food, but you can't finish one of those pot pies. I can. He might be able to. I can't finish it. But it's that big.
Okay, what was it, 43 restaurants that you guys have been
Think so,
downriver, and we've narrowed it down to this bunch, which doesn't mean that any of your favorite restaurants that haven't been mentioned or listened aren't great. Okay, there's many more good ones here. From your point of view, what makes a great restaurant? Great local, family-run restaurant like we're talking about?
I'd say the people
Yeah.
first and foremost. For us, something is, especially when you're eating in the parking lot, if we're inside, you'd have all that ambiance. But when somebody does something like they bring out a garbage can, and that sounds really stupid, but when you're out in the parking lot and you got all this stuff, and half the time the wind is going, and that garbage can it's amazing. And then we've had people bring out full, like place settings and stuff, and we always say, you obviously don't know this crowd. You should have brought paper plates. But it's that kind of, and the people that Al said it when he said they get it. They get that we're not trying to get anything for free. We're not trying to, it's all about trying to grow our community and build our community and build these family businesses. That's the people that get that make it more fun. And we don't care, they can be as abusive as they want, because we kind of thrive on that, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
so,
we've had some waitresses really give it to us, and it's
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
It's so much fun when they engage.
What advice do you give the audience who are looking for a great local eatery? Is it just go and sample, or what do you guys think?
Ask them what they do well.
Okay.
Because we've found out a lot of restaurants don't, it's not like it used to be where everybody has, I have this specific dish that that's our special thing and we only do this. We ask them, what do you do well? What do you recommend that we do well? And they're very honest with you at that point. They'll say, well, this sells the most, or this is what I like to get with my family or my kids. But yeah, the people itself make it amazing, and some of the best ones we have isn't necessarily the best food out of all the restaurants we've been to, but we've had the best times.
And that's the key, really, isn't it?
it really is.
Yeah.
I told people that during COVID, the problem was everybody, no one could go out. And then all of a sudden the doors opened back up. And the funniest part was a lot of people got really aggressive and mean and about having to wait.
Yeah.
And I always make the joke, I say, if that's the problem, you're going to dinner with the wrong people. If you can't sit and enjoy the people you're with, the restaurant is just part of it.
Yeah.
If you can't enjoy the people you're with, you're missing the whole ticket.
That's a good point.
And
That's
we're,
very,
we're
very
with
good.
the one customer that's going to come in and go, we don't care how long we got to wait.
Yeah.
As long as it's hot and it's good.
Well, and I think for speaking for, if I could, these owners, I mean, they're usually small businesses. They're all homemade, made from scratch. So you're not getting frozen dinners cooked in the franchise oven and then served so it tastes like everything else you've ever had. These are handmade, and they're made with care.
When it comes to you guys, do you have favorite types of food? Al, I'll start with you.
I love Mexican food.
You love Mexican food?
I do.
Okay.
You live in the right part of the country for that. There's a lot
I
of
am,
Mexican
because my
restaurants.
wife is Mexican.
There you go.
Do you have a go-to then?
You had to say that.
If I put you on the spot.
It's changed,
Okay.
you know, because some of the ones around town that used to be the top ones
Mm-hmm.
just aren't anymore.
Okay.
It's a tough call.
Chris, what about you? Favorite
I would
type?
say seafood, but that's the downside. It's really hard to find a non-chain seafood place.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So
You're
when
right
we
about
do,
that.
if I find some place that serves salmon, I'm all over. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and we've had some really good salmon. Even if it's in a parking lot.
Rich, what about you?
Breakfast.
And
Breakfast is
breakfast
my
is your big-
favorite meal,
okay.
hands down.
Alrighty.
And I would have to say that as far as the favorite goes, it's for breakfast. It's Piper's.
It's Piper's.
Definitely
Okay.
Piper's.
Okay. In your I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyways. In your ventures, gang, do you ever worry about eating right, as far as healthy and calories and everything else?
Does he?
It feels like we're being typecast.
I was going to say, does he say he knows the answer because he's
Being
looking
pushed.
at us?
You're
Because
gonna
he
have to
read
get
the
me a bigger
backstory.
t-shirt.
Well, some of the guys drink light beer.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's as far as we go, then. Eh? All right. That's a good answer.
Eat light, just eat more. That's the way I look at it.
I'd have to say that most restaurants, when you go to their healthy area, that's where they're all the same. Everybody
Okay.
offers pretty much the same of the lighter side
Gotcha.
kind of menu. Their stuff that they recommend is never in that area.
That's another good point, I guess. Do you guys ever try to get recipes from the restaurant, favorite recipes from restaurants, and make things at home and stuff like that during any of your visits, or is that off the beaten path?
That's not going to happen.
No, I mean, that would be effort.
I'll be honest.
That would be too much effort. What about when you, in your travels to those 43 restaurants downriver, is there a top chef that you've sat there and said, okay, this guy's really got it? Or are there just too many of those to mention?
I think
We never agree. Like,
Okay.
there's always one of us that goes, this isn't the best I've ever had.
Okay.
or
Well-
or one will say, this is the best place we've ever been to, and everybody's like, really?
Well, then I'll put you individually on the
Sure.
spot. How about you? Do you have one?
You know, I was impressed with HRI's barbecue.
Okay.
Because the people that took that over, they redid that place. They also put in a massive smoker behind the building, and the man that owns it and his son went down like 4 or 5 different states in the South to get that title of pit master.
Uh-huh.
And I was impressed. Their barbecue was very good. That they
And
were-
HRI is
Huron River Inn.
Okay.
And I would say Fat Daddy's.
Fat Daddy's.
Fat Daddy's, the name's catchy for one, but I mean, to go there and they had hush puppies that were so good that we took them after dinner and ate them as a snack at the cruise.
Really?
The
Did you
time we
really?
dined there, we got
They're
a
the
big,
size of baseballs.
Yeah.
And you get a dozen of them in an order.
and we got a big old thing of them, and we took them down and we sat outside for the cruise and ate those and drank beer. So
Oh my goodness.
they were that good.
fantastic. What about you, Rich?
I like the guy that does the cooking at Joe's Prime Time on Fort.
Oh, really? Okay.
He is fantastic. He is a chef.
Okay.
He loves working there, and when he does the cod dinners and some of his own concoctions that he puts together, it's just a constant sellout.
Oh my goodness.
Hands down, best cod dinner around.
As we reach the end of our show here, where are you guys headed to next? Do you know?
No, we can't tell that.
Oh, you can't.
No,
can
we
you
never
not?
tell ahead of time.
Okay.
We've actually done. We do a lot of charitable things too. We do
Right.
a fall fest where we do the cooking. Mm-hmm. That's just out
That's
of
not
control.
the best food you're going to get.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Yeah, you're getting hot dogs and hot hamburgers.
no chef hat.
and you're lucky we get it through the grill. But we don't announce ahead of time because we like to contact the restaurant. We have we have like 3 or 4 people right now picked out.
Okay.
But we don't do that ahead. We've never done that because what we find then is we don't want them to prepare for it. We want them just to give us everyday service.
Gotcha. Do the restaurants get nervous
Some
Or
do.
you guys?
Some
Or
do.
some of them do?
Early on, we had a lot of people that would think that we're with DoorDash, or that we're admitting that we're going to dine and then dash. But now, it's kind of a mixed bag. We get a lot of owners that they've never heard of us, but then they'll go talk to their staff that's on Facebook. And oh yeah, you got to have those guys in here, and they'll call me back within 20 minutes and go, yeah, okay, yeah, we're good.
Oh, wow.
We had was it Joe at Carlton Hotel Inn? What was that one? Was it Joe or John?
John, it was John.
John. He was concerned because we were going down there during their 150th anniversary celebration.
Oh.
And he said, we're going to be very busy. And I go, I don't care. We can sit to the side and take as long as you want.
Sure.
And after a couple phone calls with him, he finally said, okay, we're good. And then they had to push it off for rain because the one day. And he was be sure to text me. He's like, we're pushing it off, but we're having it tomorrow. So it's like those people that get it, they see the opportunity to have us down. They love it. I don't think we get many that are nervous. I think we get a bunch that don't quite get it,
Okay.
or they just don't take it seriously and they just don't show up at all.
How did that one end up working out after the delays and the concern and everything else?
They said that they probably had less people show up for it because it was pushed off to Sunday from Saturday when everybody already planned on being down there.
Okay.
But the streets were lined with classic cars and I call them store-bought hot rods and stuff. But yeah, I thought it was pretty big success for them. It was a big deal.
Well, as we come to the conclusion of our show, we still got a little special thing that we're going to do here at the end. Joe, you want to bring in what Rich brought for us?
My bribe. One question that I'd love to know. I mean, 45 restaurants is a lot.
Yeah.
When do you figure you're going to run the course of all the restaurants down here?
There's still a lot more.
I was just going to say, how many do you think you could hit still?
I'm always surprised at how many are around my house even that I just didn't even know about. And one of those, I'll say it, is Bruligans. I never heard of that place. I've driven past it a ton of times. But when we went in there and they do a different mac and cheese every week, I think, and they make a completely different one. I forget what all we had there, but it was great.
And we're not at all opposed to turning around again. I mean,
Right.
There's been a few places that, usually the ones that take us best are the ones that when we do a food drive or a toy drive, and then we also, this year we did a auction, and we auctioned off a seat as a pledge.
Oh, to sit with you guys?
Yeah, and that went great, and a lot of the restaurants gave gift cards so that we could put that in the bid package.
Yeah.
And then the person came and they ate dinner, had dinner with us, and it was a blast.
Yeah, last year was because we did 2 years in a row. And the first year we got about $200 in gift cards. This time we had $325.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
Joey, why don't you bring in our little pie there? And Rich, where'd you get our pie?
Well, I tried to get it at Kate's, but they were closed today, and I got into panic mode and then realized that I could also go to Piper's that had these zip code cakes.
Pie.
Yeah. It's a floating pie.
And we should actually get the official table.
Go get the table.
And,
or wait, let Rich get it because he's the pledge.
I see how you are.
All right. So for the July Destination Downriver, I'm your host, Karl Ziomek. Thanks to our panel who are busily eating up your pie. Wow. Did you get a piece?
Piper's pie.
You got a piece, right?
I did.
Of Piper's pie? Okay. For all the restaurants downriver, for these guys, Rich Williams, we'll see you on Destination Downriver next month in August.
Salute.
Thank you again to our sponsors, Martinson Family of Funeral Homes and Allegra Marketing, with a special thanks to our production partners here at the new Taylor Media Center. Thanks for listening and watching. Please visit our website, destinationdownriver.com, or our Facebook page, and be sure to join us for next month's podcast.